Alright, donc on est presque prêt pour ta run LouLouCore, donc Zelda Breath of the Wild All Dungeons. Est-ce que tu es prêt?
Ouais, je suis prêt.
Alright, à ton signal.
Okay, so the phone. Okay, so 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, so this is a speedrun of Breath of the Wild. I'm gonna be doing all the dungeons except obviously the DLC one, because that would be like a 5-hour run or something like that. But yeah, I'm gonna be doing like all 4 original Diving Beast in this run, and this is hopefully gonna be interesting. So one thing with Breath of the Wild is we don't have the choice but to do Great Plateau before quitting. Well, before going outside of it, so we have to do all 4 shrines like as fast as possible, and then we can actually start like the run, like most runners would say for this game. So one thing you can notice right away is I'm playing in German, and not obviously the languages that you would see in a run like Japanese or English in the Zelda games, and it's all because of the voice acting. Like after every line, after every line, usually you would, well, the English and Japanese voice acting usually will take like a small break after every line, but German actually does not. Well, it takes like way less time for sure. And surprisingly enough, French is the second fastest language too for this game, just because of the voice acting. They did a really good job for like most of the text box to be as fast. So there's not much happening at the beginning. Oh, sorry. Alright, okay. I'm not used to this kind of mic. Usually I just have something laying around on my desk and it's fine.
Du bist das Licht, das Hyrule wieder erstrahlen lassen wird. Es ist Zeit, deine Reise zu beginnen.
Alright, so right now what you're seeing is called whistle sprinting. It's basically just pressing the whistle button and mashing the B button. So for whatever reason it refills stamina, and it's pretty convenient for this game. There's also more things that whistle sprint helps us with, but we can talk about those things when it's gonna be the time for. Alright, so first thing first, we have to go get the tower, which is something that we might not see in the more runs, because we actually, at the beginning of the week, we figured out a way to clip through walls in this game, and we can actually skip tower at least for like any %, but for the categories still being like theorized, but yeah. We might not see the Great Plateau Tower anymore in some runs. But for today, I decided to keep going with the run that I've been practicing, since the glitch is kind of new and hard to pull off. There's also like a lot of inconvenience skipping like the tower. One of them is actually all the shrines in the overworld map are not activable, so you cannot like warp to those. Just gonna get more food. Gonna prepare. Oh, that was close. We need a shield. And, well, I would need one monster part usually, but I guess I picked up two. Sometimes this Buckuplin can drop 5 extra arrows, which would help with the run, but it's not a necessity. Anyway, we need Tower to get the map and activate all 4 shrines, otherwise they're not accessible without a certain glitch that we call the skew clipping glitch. One convenience with this game is most cutscene can be skipped, which is pretty nice. There's a lot of games like Wind Waker where you cannot skip like any cutscenes at all, except maybe the intro cutscene in Wind Waker HD and not the original, but like most of those are not skippable usually. Alright, so I'm gonna do one of the few useful glitches in this game, which is fall damage cancel. And it's it's basically when you're falling and you throw a weapon and unequip it as you're throwing it, the game kind of resets link position when you're falling. So if you do it like close enough to the ground, you actually won't take any damage. This is pretty convenient for plateau because as soon as you get paraglider at the end, this trick becomes obsolete because you can just press X and you're fine. So we can see Meadow from here. Also at the beginning we were able to see Rudania on the volcano, but it kind of blinds in with it because it's so dark over there. So yeah, the first shrine we're gonna do is the Magesa shrine. For this route, it's actually the closest one. It's also one of the most annoying to actually go back to Temple of Time if you end with it, so we just do that one first. Also, almost forget that, nice. But we need a ruby for convenience sake. So there's gonna be a lot of loadings like that at the beginning, and it's something that a lot of runners been like complaining about because Wii U and Switch doesn't load as fast. Switch is actually slower by 1 or 2 seconds every time for every single load, while Wii U is obviously like faster. And it's only because the game was actually developed for Wii U, and the Switch version is actually like a port with better graphics, so it wasn't optimized for the console. But soon enough, we might be able to get an in-game timer on Switch and Wii U. So we're gonna pray for that. Alright, so the goal is just to rush through the shrines here. We could technically complete all 4 shrines without getting the rune, but the monk actually tells you to go back and get it. So Nintendo thought about it, and you cannot skip at all the runes. There's a lot of small things like that Nintendo did that if you try to skip something, the thing you want to reach is either not there, or it just tells you to go back. This game is pretty hard to break. Okay, so here I could skip the cutscene right away, but if I wait till the camera pans out, that load is actually 5 seconds faster. So we just wait. So we have more mashing to do here. Because that old man just doesn't want to give us the paraglider just like that.
Oh.
Okay, so usually if you take out the Sheikah Slate, Link will have an animation where he would just pull the Sheikah Slate. But if you jump, crouch, or press the start button before actually pulling out the map, you can skip that like small cutscene. It's like 2 seconds, so it's not a big deal if you don't if you fail it, but it's a small thing that you can do. So second shrine is gonna be Cryonis, and then we're gonna go get Stasis. And this is where we're gonna see Whistle Sprint actually being useful for other than just refilling stamina. My God, sorry. Yeah, okay. So it's pretty up, it's gonna be a while to actually reach this shrine usually, but thanks to Whistle Spring and actually Shell Surfing, we can actually reach this shrine pretty quick. You could do it without healing, but for safety's sake, I'll just get my heal. I was close to film that river. Oh my God. So yeah, Whistle Sprint allows you to actually climb mountain. It's pretty convenient. Oh, I crouch. So yeah, with perfect movement or close to perfect movement, you could actually make it without healing, but it doesn't happen all the time. There's only a few runners that can actually do it consistently, and props to them, to be honest, because it's pretty hard to be consistent sometimes. That chill surf at the beginning. So second rune, it's Cryonis. This rune allows us to actually spawn ice pillar on top of water, on water source, as long as there's enough space for that pillar to be spawned. And it's gonna be useful for this run in one temple. But usually this rune isn't really used, except outside of that shrine for small categories. So, right there, I actually used the upward momentum of the ice block to actually jump with it and just skip a part of the shrine. It is used in a few shrines, but most of the time they're not that worth to go for. So right here we're gonna go through the fire camp, which reset the timer when you actually start taking cold damage. So we can actually do it without healing at all. For people who didn't know, but cold damage and heat damage are taken every 10 seconds. So it's pretty easy to tell if you can make it without like healing or not when you have that in mind and you keep track of the time. It is important here to recognize where you can shield serve, because on snow the shield don't take damage, but on like the rocky part it actually does. Alright, that was the last time you're gonna see fall damage cancel, by the way. Or at least it should be. So the Stasis rune, it's probably the most broken rune that we could have ever get. This rune actually allows us to do so many things in this game. And we're gonna have example of it right after this shrine. I don't know if anyone like here watch Breath of the Wild speedruns, but they are like, this rune is used all the time. Ah, okay. Wow. Just for safety. So usually plateau would take around 22 minutes to complete in a speedrun setting. So yeah, after that we do like all the dungeon in like an hour and a half, not even. So stasis, this is where it gets broken a little bit. Nice, okay. Sometimes the deep out of process controller control you like that, it's terrible. That happens. Anyway, this is what we call a rocket launch. And we're gonna do another one with this exact tree. It's pretty important to actually shoot the arrow on the trees because it changes the angle. A lot of people doesn't realize that sometimes when they watch the streams, but if you want to go high, you actually need to aim it. But yeah, that's how we get to Bomb Shrine in this run. That's why we do it last, even though it's super close of tower. It's just because we can do that chain launch. And it is like slightly faster. It's not even like a minute of time save, whatever, it's seconds. Alright, so we finally got the last runes. The bombs are pretty nice. We can do not much with elves. We don't really use the bomb rune in the runs, or at least in all dungeon, that's for sure. So I want to take damage here because, as you could tell, I didn't like took much knockback for taking damage. I actually just like glitch on place, and I just like stood there. And the reason is every time you do a shield jump and you unequip it, it's gonna glitch link state, and every time it's gonna take damage. It's not gonna like get knocked back or anything, but it's gonna. Wait, it's like it's gonna stretch. I don't know if you like saw a picture of that on the internet, but there's like crazy picture of Link like limbs just stretching all around the place. It's weird. But this is what causes that if you do a shield jump and unequip it. So we're almost done with Plateau. We only need to get the paraglider, and after that we can actually start the run. So if we shoot an arrow to this guardian, it's gonna actually trigger him, and you will skip the cutscene where he actually like starts aiming at you. It's like a nice 5 seconds of just not watching anything and just running. You can actually snipe you from super far. I see some people actually getting sniped still on their way to that tree. It's quite funny. Oh, that's not gonna be enough. Whatever. I thought it'd be fun. Okay, with a good launch, usually you could reach the eye, like on the top of the roof, but I guess I was missing one hit. It's fine. At least I made it. Alright, so whistle sprint again being useful in like angles like that. So we're just gonna skip those cutscenes. And spoiler alert, the old man was the king. But if I gave us the paraglider, which was the only thing we need to actually leave Plateau. Alright, so now we can actually start the run. So the first dungeon we're gonna go is actually Middle, the dungeon, the Tabanta/Ibra region. It's the big bird that flies all around. We need to do it first because Gale is probably one of the most broken champion's abilities. So we're gonna go get a horse, and we specifically need the horses like around this region of the lake because there's a chance that there's a better horse which has 4 speed. Because most pack of horse like only have like 3 and 2 speeds, but there's a few pack where you can actually get a horse with 4 speed and some even with 5 speed, but those are like extremely rare. So, I didn't check their order, but it's quite important to know. Okay. Alright, so I got a 4 speed, nice. You can tell by the number of spurs that you get. Usually 4 spears mean that it is a 3 speed, and 3 spears means it's a 4 speed. For whatever reason, better horses actually have 3 spears instead of like 4, like Epona. And like very like terrible horse, like the 2 speed one can have 3 or even like 2 spears. So you gotta be careful with those sometimes, but this pack of ores really has like any 2 speeds. Oh, one thing I should have checked, but yeah. You can refresh the spurs of your horses by simply jumping out of the horse and quickly coming back with a shield jump. It doesn't look like I'm doing much when I'm doing this, but it's there's like a few things happening. It's difficult to do that trick when the terrain goes down because Link is gonna be higher up, but usually it's pretty simple. But if you miss that trick and actually fall off the horse, you actually lose more time that you're gonna save by doing the trick. So, yeah. Not a lot of runners likes to go for it. So one thing we need is actually activating the shrine called Karajuki. We need it to warp back to castle later on in the game. And your horse just stay there. And if you scope like that, your horse actually turns around. Saves a little bit of movement. So. Yeah, okay. So one thing though with this trick is, if I want to try, I'm gonna target like enemies around, because I have to hold the target button. So there's some places where it's actually riskier to go for that trick. Oh yeah, sometimes too when it goes up for whatever reason, it actually makes Link goes higher too. That horse still not tame, wow. Some horses, there's a lot of things with horses in this game. They all have like slightly different behavior, and sometimes they even try to go their own way and they don't listen to you at all. This horse so far has been pretty great, but they're not like, how can I say, they're not behaving like they actually hyped it. Like horse doesn't go like in trees or whatever, you know. Horses in this game are pretty dumb. Usually they always try to follow the road even if you don't want to follow the road. If you dash into a tree, they're actually gonna go into the tree. There's like a lot of things horses do that they said they wouldn't, but you know, it's whatever. Alright, so we reached the first table that we're gonna make a stop. We need money for stuff in the game. And we need also weapons and food. We need that for like one guy. We need more axe for sure, because axe is broken. Also need healing. And I also need to steal some money. And this guy is nice enough to give us 500 rupees, thinking that he's gonna get it back. But I'm sorry, buddy, but it won't happen. So what I just did there is called a hide stasis launch. We basically just stasis the tree mid-air and we aim the angle higher with an arrow so we can actually reach slightly further. Usually the old setup for those trees were actually just cut them down to the ground and then stasis them using a bomb or whatever and just praying that it's gonna work. But with those setups, it's actually slightly more, how can I say? It works better. It's more consistent. At least for me, it is more consistent. I know for some people it's like a pain to go for those. Alright, so here I don't really want to wake up those moblins, but I don't have the choice. But I need this Royal Claymore right here. And hopefully those guys don't kill me. Alright, we're good. Alright, I'm gonna make a quick safety save because this boulder can be a little bit trolly sometimes. Yep. I need that boulder to actually reach Rito Village, otherwise it's gonna take a long time. Okay, I'll deal with that. It's not the best, but usually you could reach all the way, but for convenience right now, I'll just deal with that. Alright, so we reached Rito Village. Took me one extra lunch, but it's fine. That small boulder is not easy to get a launch off. Also, if you didn't talk to Impa before like reaching any dungeon area, Zelda actually has a small text.
Ganon vor 100 Jahren in seine Gewalt gebracht hat. Du musst einen Weg finden, in sein Inneres einzudringen und ihn von Ganons Einfluss zu befreien. Link, ich vertraue auf dich.
Alright, so now we need to start the quest for the dungeon, otherwise... nice. Otherwise, the bird at the flight platform isn't there, and we cannot do anything. So here, Links, remember, is gold old times with Rivali, but we don't really have the time to watch. So we're just gonna pretend that we remember, and I'm gonna go on our way. So I need to sell the ruby that I picked up at the beginning. And get some shrooms. because at the beginning on plateau, I didn't pick up what is the doublet that saves us from cold damage. I didn't pick that up, and I need somehow to survive this cold area. So picking up the shrooms, we're gonna be able to cook cold resistant food. We also need those truffles right here because once they're cooked, they give us full health plus like four hearts, and we need those. Alright, so we just triggered a cutscene from here. Picking up a few arrows. Oh, dude, no, nope, not what I want. I picked up like extra food to be safe for this run, and it's kind of throwing me up a little bit for my maneuvering. Yeah, I actually forgot. Wow, okay, I forgot something. Whatever. I can do it after that. So Teba is testing us to know if we can actually shoot arrows. Sure we can. We only need 5 targets too, so it's not that bad. So now he thinks we're like worthy to actually go fight Meadow. Just before, I forgot to actually cook those truffles that I was talking. Okay. So he just gives us free 20 bomb arrows. And now we're off to attack the bird. This is probably one of my favorite dungeons because of the music and the way we actually do this dungeon. It is pretty unique compared to the other ones. But first, before we actually have to take down the shield. And this is why we had to go through a trial. Also, this time of the day is amazing. It's just great.
Alles in Ordnung? So wird's gemacht.
There's no real visual cues for those cannons. It's really just a lot of practice to get them from that far. But it becomes almost a second nature to learn out where to aim with this bow. So Teba got somehow hit with one of the lasers and survived. And you cannot continue with us, so we were like on ourselves basically. We're by ourselves in this dungeon.
Nasim, ich wusste, du bist.
So the Spirit of Reveille is kind of surprised that we managed to get in middle while it's flying, because Link cannot fly usually, but thanks to Tiba we made it. He's just explaining us that in this dungeon we have to activate terminals in order to activate the main terminal, and he also tells us to get the map, but why this dungeon is unique is we don't need the map at all to complete the dungeon. We can do anything just thanks to the mechanic of this game. Eh, this one's pretty tricky sometimes.
Kontrolle.
So if we keep riding the wind here, we can just get up there pretty quick.
3 Kontrollen.
So one terminal is here. So that's already 3 out of 5 terminals that we need to get.
Jetzt sind nur noch
And we're just gonna do a quick void. It brings us back to the higher level of Meadow, which we need. I don't know why, but it does. So this shot right here is... Okay, got it. This one is pretty precise because there's the eyes like behind one of the, like a small wall. You can hit the wall like pretty easily. Like, okay, yeah, I was there.
nur noch ein Kopf.
So Hammer can break certain type of chests, and this is good for this one. If we... okay. Ah, this won't work. Oh, I did it, okay. Basically with stasis we can just use the momentum to move this thing instead of just moving Meadow with the map.
Guck mal auf deine... Jetzt geht's gut.
And so now we finally can go beat the boss, Windblight. It's probably the most like, Windblight is the biggest troll in any category for this game. He's a run, well, he's not exactly a run killer, but he can actually make you lose like so much time just because of his patterns. It's really annoying.
Sei vorsichtig, er ist sehr treffsicher.
Looks like he's being nice. So it takes 3 headshots to bring him down. Then after 3 hits, he's actually coming back up. And that's phase 1. Going in bullet time is actually probably the main trick for the bosses. It's just so easy to get headshots. But yeah, hopefully he's gonna give us a good pattern again, and looks like he does.
Oh, der ist geschwächt.
So I don't know how those are not headshots, but when he goes back up, the hitbox for the head is a little bit weird. But usually we'll only take like 2 headshots and not 3. So we're done with the first dungeon. It was probably the longest one to get because it's one of the furthest, but it's also the most convenient to get first. Because like I mentioned earlier, Gale is probably one of the most broken champion ability we can have. You would think maybe it's Urbosa's Fury would be because it deals a lot of damage and you have like 3 charge of it, and the cooldown is not that terrible, but Gale allows us to skip so many things in dungeons. So we have to actually go talk to the Elder because we want a weapon upgrade because those bows are nice but not good enough. We need the Rivali's bow, probably one of the best bow in the game. It shoots 3 arrows with 28 damage each. So put that with bomb arrows and it's like a godlike weapon for speedruns. So next dungeon is actually gonna be Naburis. Because we need something special for the other bosses, because that first boss was actually super weak. The first boss you do in dungeon actually only has like 800 HP, but each boss you're gonna fight afterwards have more and more HP and they become much stronger. Oh, okay. I'm gonna make another safety save. That chest is bad. Okay, I got it. This is called a super launch. So basically, I make the game lag by moving the camera in a certain way and then pause and then pull the paraglider on a certain frame. And this allows us to actually go super far with one launch. Yeah, sure. Yeah, thank you, Drago.
Yeah!
Dragolina is a someone I met about like over a year ago now from speedruns, and this guy is amazing. He does a lot of Super Smash Bros. Brawl speedruns recently, and he has a bunch of world records in this game. I definitely recommend to check him out. Oh, one thing before I forget, we need that shield. It's not a necessity, but for safety, I kind of want it. So we're gonna use this box to go to Gyarados. I'm not sure. Alright, this is what we call a forward speed launch. Basically when Link ragdolls a lot like you saw, he gains a lot of momentum. And we can cross, again, huge gap that way. Also, this is why I needed the truffles earlier. Eat damage, we gotta survive until we get the clothes. Okay, that one didn't quite reach, but sometimes you can actually almost get past the town. But it's good enough, so that's good. I'm actually relieved because all the art launches are gone now. we got passed through what is probably the most difficult segment of this run. So we need that shrine just as a ward point, and then we shall surf all the way back to the oasis. Jumping helps a little bit there because you keep like a certain momentum when you land. Alright, and now Nabri stops us because she's mad. Fun fact, you cannot actually go in Naboris and actually like do the initial fight where you gotta shoot up the legs before actually doing all the quests before. For whatever reason, the legs are like buried in the sand when she walks, so we cannot shoot them. Anyway, now we need what spawned a lot of odd work in the Zelda community. The Gyarados clothes. Anyway, now we can... People cannot tell that we're men, so we can actually enter Gyarados town, because they don't allow men at all in the town. It's only like... It's a woman-only place. But there's still like a few people in the town that knows you're a guy, so... I don't know really if people care. Except the guards. So we need to use our last Gale here because we need it later. We need the Gales to be charged back for Naboris. And they take about 6 minutes. Not what I... Dude. Yeah, sure, it's not suspicious. Okay. It's good. Sometimes fighting with the D-pad is part of the run. At least on Switch. Oh, that's a thing too. The game... I know I mentioned earlier that Wii U and Switch had like loading differences, but they have like other in-game differences, like cutscenes will load faster on Switch than Wii U. There's also lag. There's less lag on Switch than Wii U, but for whatever reason, Switch can use this lag better than Wii U for whatever reason. There's a few tricks that are just easier input-wise on Switch. Wii U has... I don't know how to say it, but it's like the game feels less polished. So sometimes your input gets eaten by lag or something. So there's a lot of things that are like super consistent on Switch and more easy to do. But for all dungeon, there's actually one trick that Wii U cannot do, and this is why Switch is the fastest version for this category. And we're gonna see it after Naboris. Now I need to hire Seal to actually fight bad guys. The Yigatlen. There's no launches really Like we saw that actually can reach the Yakland fast enough compared to the steel. Also, trying to go to Yigatland early doesn't do anything. You cannot enter the base, you cannot trigger the Koga fight. Even if you go out of bound and try to open the door is not activable at all. Like, they did a really good job to make us like play the game. So we gotta dodge boulders here. They do a lot of damage and you risk to lose your seal. At least I know if you die to those boulders, the seal is not back when you respawn, so it's pretty sad. But we have enough health anyway to survive. Alright, see ya, steel. Okay, one thing that I think a lot of runners actually hate about this place is just the random Yiga spawn that shoot arrows. They can actually just kill you in one shot if they really want to. But their aim is usually pretty terrible, so if they actually shoot you, it's like their lucky day. Like someone's getting ironed if they actually hit you. That one won the promotion. So yeah, usually it's not a big deal, but sometimes it can happen to get hit, and it really suck. So yeah, we're just gonna skip most guards. They're pretty blind. That guy never saw me. And there's people like shooting bomb arrows and they don't care. So one more thing we need besides bananas is actually rupees for later. Oh, nice. That works. So we need more arrows. We need to open this door. This door, like I mentioned earlier, this door is not, and you cannot interact with this door if you go to the Yigatland early. If you manage to get inside early, you cannot like touch it or anything. It's ridiculous. So you really have to do like everything that I did before. So this fight is pretty long, but it's mostly just because of the, like all the text and the cutscenes. It's not hard at all to do this guy, but the music is good, so. Funny enough, if you take a picture of this guy, he's like in the legendary section with the dragons. Oh, okay, I missed it. But if you get enough multi-hits on this guy, you can actually one-cycle him. the spot where you can get like multi-hits on him is it's pretty precise. Oh my god, okay man. 2 times. It's fine. It doesn't lose much time. Oh. He went way further back than usual, wow. So Master Koga has been defeated. It was a great challenge. But it's not done yet, but we all know how it ends. Like, it's obvious, there's a big hole behind him. What could happen? Actually, why would you have a big hole like in your backyard? Like that? Alright, so he's gone now. I don't know if he's still alive or not, but we do get the reward, so we assume he's just gone. So we needed that helmet just for Riju, the chief in Gerville Town, to actually let us help. Well, to actually let us go to Naboris, but we need that helmet in a way to actually protect us against Naboris, so yeah. Pretty good time of the day, wow. So one thing we need later in the run when we're gonna go to Ruta is actually shock arrows. We need 20 of them, but we can buy about 30 here. Only 420 rupees. Also, we need more cooking. Because those bananas actually gives us attack bonus. And it's gonna be pretty useful for the bosses. So there's a lot of like settings before each dungeon, as you can tell. The worst one's probably the Zora's, the main dungeon, Ruta. There's like 6 minutes of text smashing. It's terrible. But the dungeon is fun, so it's fun. It's worth it. So again, we're just gonna pretend that we remember Urbosa this time. So Riju can just like help us faster. Alright, so I'm gonna try to get this launch here. It's a pretty hard one.
Rivalen-Sturm ist bereit.
Yeah, okay. This tree is like super thin. It's quite. It's not exactly the hardest launch, but sometimes it can just not hit you the right way. But it's fine. The way rupees is managed is we can actually get an extra seal in case as backup. But yeah, that launch will bring us all the way there. One reason why I don't use like a Gale to get up there is I actually need all 3 Gales in Naboris. But like Meadow, we actually have to as some sort of pre-fight. So one thing that was, I would say, somewhat important is to get like at this point of the game, not quite fast, is the time of the day, because in the desert, when it's night, you take cold damage, and usually in a run you wouldn't have much food at this point, so you would have to be either extremely fast or like go out of your way to actually get more food. But it doesn't get cold at this time of the day. It's more like around 8 or 9 p.m. I forgot. You could also like change time of the day by just waiting at a cooking pot when you were cooking, but it's also like some sort of time wasted. So that was the only use of the helmet, thank you. So the reason why we use a duplex bow here is because we need 2 shots for each leg, and duplex bow shoots 2 arrows in a row, so... This is done pretty quick. So there's always loading between cutscenes and actually getting in the game. But it's also because every dungeon that you're doing are actually like on a separate map than the overworld. So they have to actually load that map. But funny enough, if you look at your map, if you have like the first DLC pack, the Trial of the Sword DLC, which you can see like your hero's path, you're still gonna see in the overworld map the movement of the diving beast basically in the map. This is a nice touch that Nintendo did that I had no clue till like sometime earlier this week. Someone like mentioned that to me. So shout out to this guy. I forgot your name, but shout out to you. So we use one gel here. We need to get that puzzle fast. So I mentioned shock arrows would be useful for Ruta later because we need 20 of them. But we have 30 right now, so we have 10 to spare. So great climb, thank you. And we can use those shock arrows to actually trigger that puzzle early and get this terminal.
Noch 4 kommen.
Another terminal that is annoying is probably the one in the middle of the dungeon. And this is where we're gonna actually use our last gale. The game lags so much when you activate that switch. But yeah, this allows us to skip an entire puzzle where you have to bring 2 balls on each side of the dungeon. It's pretty annoying. You have to fight guardians and nah man, we don't have the time for that. So we only have one terminal left. This one, it's in a cage, and even if you manage to clip in the cage, you cannot activate the terminal when it's sideways or upside down. It has to be on the right side, basically. So we have to get the map for this dungeon and all the other ones just for this reason. Maybe one day we'll learn how to get all the dungeon without the maps, but for now there's only one we can actually do without.
Du hast die Kraft, sieh dir ein im Labor, das wird sicher.
Yes, I understand. Almost forgot to move the dungeon. It's no big deal anyway. Alright, now we're done with the dungeon. We only need to fight on the Blight.
Toll gemacht, der große Lava sei weit.
Thank you. Oh, one thing I almost forget. Die. Oh my god.
Ist blitzschnell. Verlier ihn nicht aus den Augen. Gute Arbeit, Link.
Oh, that's cool. This is why I have extra food. This can happen. The goal on Thunderblight is actually to try to get as many bomb arrow on him, but he's so small sometimes it's hard to get shots on him. And the best would be to get all 3 arrows on his head, but the headshot for this guy are terrible. Also, okay. He has 5 different spawns in this room on phase 2, and you can spawn the middle, and this is probably the most annoying one, but this one is fine. Okay. I messed up a little bit that fight, but it's good. I can reflect lasers. I almost got the T-pause. Dang. Alright, so in my opinion, this dungeon is probably the worst to do. Or at least the hardest one, just because of the first trick, and sometimes Thunderblight can be like just a massive troll too. Like Wind Blight. But unlike Wind Blight, Thunderblight actually kills you. So for this one, we don't need to actually turn in the main quest. We only really needed the one for Meadow, just because we need the bow. Now we can get to a trick that runners don't like much. Usually people, when they see the trick, they're like, oh my god, that's so nice, but runners actually don't like it, but it's so fast that we kind of have to go for it. So we're back at Castle, and it's because it's our closest warp point to the next 2 dungeon, but also because it's pretty convenient. Okay. This won't end well. Sometimes that Guardian can just see you and ruin your run. The patterns of those are a little bit random. But hopefully he doesn't see me again. Shouldn't. Oh, that one does, okay. Let's see if he does again. Otherwise I'll just go the normal way, I guess. Or the slow way, quote unquote. If he sees me again. Okay, whatever. Oh, wait. Actually... Huh, that's weird. I actually never had that problem here before. That was kind of like a first one. Oh, I'll use that. Yeah, you can spot me now, you're not a problem at this point. So when you go fast sometimes, this game doesn't like it and just takes a bunch of times to load stuff. Like there was a barrel just floating there, because the crates didn't have time to load. Oh, nice. Tons of apples. Cool. Gotta kill this guy. Hopefully there's nothing in my cart. There's nothing. Okay. We need this minecart to create a flying machine, basically. I'm just gonna pick those up. Hopefully, okay, that didn't work, but you... That happened? Okay, I'll go for it again, otherwise it's like another nice setup for it. The crates are extremely fragile. Thankfully, there's another save right here. Sad thing though, I don't have to get my apples now. Oh. Okay, that worked this time. Cool. My angle was a little bit up the first time then. So we can just ride this like that. It's extremely unstable. Hence why a lot of people actually doesn't work that trick. It doesn't seem that fast, but it's right now I'm trying to be like extremely careful. I already reloaded 3 times. I don't want this Bugs machine to actually crash on me. So I'll just go forward, and technically you could use this to go all the way to Death Mountain, but if it fails, I have to come back all the way to Castle and redo the whole segment. So we're gonna do like this easiest way to do Flying Machine. Looks like I'm gonna crash. Okay, no. And we're gonna use 2 minecarts instead. Also, the music is good in this place, so. Also, there's extra 5 bomb arrows just in case we need those. Didn't die. Okay, I don't need this hammer anymore. I only need... Actually, I don't need anything right now. So you have to just stack the minecart like that, and you just take off. There's actually like an order for the minecarts to be stacked. Otherwise, it peaks really high and you cannot do much. But yeah, the old way to actually get to Death Mountain was actually by ores and using all 3 gals to get on top of the mountain, but this trick actually just allows us to remove every RNG element from the ground. Also, one thing to be careful of is we fly right next to Lostwood, and if we get too close, we actually void out and go back to Castle. So this is one thing to take into consideration too. Also, eye up there, like you probably saw, but you can take cold damage. It's something that they actually thought of it. If you go like high enough, it actually sometimes even snow. I think it's a good design in a way, but oh, I'm gonna die. It's okay. There's one thing we're gonna use to actually not die here, and it's that cutscene. It refreshed when you're actually like your burning timer basically, so you actually don't burn to death right after the cutscene. And here we kind of have to mash the glider and pray. Because sometimes Flying Machine is just falling. Oh, one thing, you can also start a spin to actually stop burning. It's a thing that is used in other categories that have to go for a longer walk through the fire. But now we're just getting the pants that we're fine. Forgot to equip them, but it's cool. Alright, one thing we need here is that fireproof lizard to create a potion that's gonna give us protection against even more strong like region, like harder region basically, where you kind of need twice the protection. So now we have to save Unibo because apparently he managed to get stuck. I'm actually gonna activate that shrine for safety precaution in case something goes wrong. It shouldn't happen, but you never really know with this game sometimes. So I have to catch this before it goes into lava. So right now it seems pretty slow for me to build up a flying machine there when I can just go and save Unibo. But it's because we actually need that flying machine for the next couple of minutes. That almost went wrong. Okay. See, and this is why I actually needed the potion. One thing I didn't mention, but it's important to keep a good balance in the flying machine with Link's position and the speed that it goes. Because otherwise, like you saw, the cart can flip over.
Oh, can I interrupt you for a second for a donation?
Yo, sure.
Paul Hike Song donated $5 and said, "You are doing great, Lou. Keep it up. I hope we get to see more sick tricks."
Thank you, Song. Yeah, well, like Song is a good friend of mine. He actually has the world record for any % without amiibo for this game, which is a pretty insane run too. He's the only one with a time under 39 minutes without amiibo for any %. I'm the closest one behind him with like a 39:14 second. He has like a 37:57, I believe, or 58. He's pretty good at this game too. It's also one of the reasons why I decided to do this run in English instead of French, even though I'm like more used to French. It's because I knew like some of my friends from the Breath of the Wild community would be watching, and they don't speak much French. Also, other friends outside of the Breath of the Wild community. Okay, so we need to land near Bludo and make sure the flying machine doesn't like go into lava. It's probably one of the hardest spots to actually land and keep your flying machine intact, but it's okay. It wasn't too terrible. Alright, so again, we're just gonna pretend we remember Daruk. Also, I don't know if you noticed, but our outfit's getting a little bit weird too, with like the flame armor pants and the Gyarados set. But it's gonna get even like weirder soon. So we need to get a lot of item here in order to go to that shrine over there. And this is why Flying Machine from the beginning here starts to get worse. Just because all that movement is actually pretty long. So we need to activate that shrine as a ward point for later. And it won't work that way. Flying Machine can be a little bit weird sometimes when you try to set it up because it's like being slippery like soap or whatever. But okay. Now we go to Zera's domain. Because this is the fastest way to get to Zera's domain if you do that Flying Machine route. We also need Mifa's Grace before doing Rudania, because we're gonna actually use that intentionally. We're gonna take a death and use Mifa's Grace. But yeah, this is the segment that basically every runner dislikes, because Flying Machine is somewhat of a risky trick at first when you don't really know what you're doing and you just like try it out or whatever and you don't have enough practice. But usually it's pretty the machine's pretty stable. A lot of people would disable motion control for those, but I actually like it because I can actually change my direction with it and I don't have to do anything besides like moving my hands. But yeah, as you can tell, it's pretty quick. I'm already at Zera's domain. It's not too bad. Now this is the hard part though. With Flying Machine is actually landing in Zera's domain and keeping it intact. It's not a big deal if I lost it there, but it's nice to actually keep it. So you want to actually start going down and yep, okay. Ciao. It's fine. We're already here. We don't really need it. It says like 30 seconds afterwards. But yeah, if you go fast enough, actually the cutscene here doesn't load. So you can actually wait. And yeah, this guy always loads first, and then you can talk to the king, actually trigger the cutscene. Sidon is always last, and sometimes he spawns and is misplaced out of the camera. I kind of hope that it would happen, but it looks like it's not gonna be a thing for this run. Oh, actually, maybe. So they're also surprised that you don't remember Mifa because you were so close over her before. But it's fine, they understand. Except that guy. That guy just doesn't like you and all other aliens. He's like so mad. He's like, they killed Mifa, man. We can't trust them. But it's okay. You have the king inside and on your side, so who cares about that old dude? Alright, so right here, Ruta is was like on the ground, but now she's not. Well, underwater, I mean, not underground. Alright, okay, I didn't get it, but sometimes Sidon can be a little bit like on the side of the camera and you can only see like his arm. I don't know why sometimes it's like it's just misplaced, but it happens and it's a little bit funny, I guess. So now we have the flame armor pants, the Zora's tunic, and the headset of the Gyarados town. And it's only just because it's faster to not unequip anything else. So it kind of looks messy after like a run. So we have more tick smashing. This is probably the longest segment in all dungeon, all main quests, and like so on. Everything that has to do with this dungeon, it's a pretty long segment of tick smashing, and not much actually like happens besides just gaining the trust of the old man. Because oh look, this red tunic fits on Link. So yeah, I can trust this man now. Also, they're despawned during the cutscene, but like the other Zoras are there, so I don't know why they chose to do that, but it's just a thing, I guess. You can see the old man behind with Sidon actually in the background. It was pretty quick, but you were able to see them there. Like, they're just there. They're waiting. And they spawned back. That one though doesn't always happen. It's like the second time I actually see them being there. That was pretty nice. So yeah, now you have his trust. And they're talking about, oh, you need shock arrows, and no Zoras can actually get shock arrows, and now they're like, oh, you can get shock arrows from the Lionel up there, but we good, dude. We good. We have a shock arrows. Anyway, going for that Lionel is kind of like, it's bad, man. You have to like headshot him and collect arrows super fast and make sure he doesn't see you. Alright, so now that I don't have my flying machine, I'm gonna have to go all the way around, but it's good. It used to be the old way before flying machine. Oh no, I was already there. Okay. Also, I need to equip a bow. A bow, I said. Okay, I'm cutting down this because sometimes it can get in the way and you don't really get stasis. You don't need a fully charged launch for this one. You only need like just a little bit. So I want to equip that, and Kranis, because this is the only dungeon that actually uses Kranis. There's shrines all around that actually requires you to use the rune, but when it comes to dungeon, it's actually the only one that requires you to use it. The fight before like this dungeon is actually pretty good. It's kind of sad that we don't get to hear it for long. like for the few soundtrack that this game has, they're all like pretty good, I would say.
Zerstöre das Eis.
So we have 4 again, like thing to shoot, and you could actually get all 4 in one stamina bar, like one stamina wheel, but it is actually pretty hard and super risky to go for. They are stalled a little bit in the air just so I can actually go back on side end when they all respawn. So I can actually kill all, well, break all of those eyes pretty quick. Alright, so we got all 4 of them. So this, like the text box before, this dungeon actually has like the most cutscene for like just interaction with the character. It's probably because it was meant to be like the first dungeon, since the closest of Kakariko Village, and you know Zora's domain is pretty quick, like pretty near, and there's a lot of Zoras all around telling you to go there. But yeah, we don't do Ruta first. Sorry. But it's not last, so something. We'll actually probably keep one of the best. Like Ruta is probably one of the most interesting dungeons speed-wise because there's a few tricks in it that are like pretty nice to pull off. By the way, one thing I want to say is the voice acting in this game, for like most of the characters, are pretty good in any languages, like Spanish, German, French, English, Russian, and like actually there's like many Spanish and like I think French, like French Canadian, French EU too. Like all the voice acting is pretty solid in this game. I would definitely recommend doing playthroughs with like different. Ah, please. Okay. I don't think I got the eye. So that puzzle, I know a lot of people doing it like pretty quickly with motion controls, but I just can't do it quick, man. It's something I need to work on. It's dumb. Yeah, I didn't hit the eye. It's fine. We have like arrows to spare. So yeah, like Naborus, we actually have to get the dungeon map because there's terminals that we just cannot get without it. And I don't think this one will ever be able to skip the map, no matter what we're doing, because it's just so convenient to get it. So we want to get the next terminal. We want to get the one that is the most probably annoying to get usually. But with Gales, we can just like go all the way here, and it's pretty easy. Like the older strats for this terminal were like terrible.
sind noch...
Okay. That was weird. So here, because I'm most likely not gonna make the cycle for the other terminal, I'm just gonna use an ice block to stop the other wheel. And yeah, I would have not made it. Or it would have been like super tight. You actually need, like, the first one with the wheel that I was struggling with at the beginning. That's the one that kind of determines if you're gonna make the cycle or not. So we need to eat food again. So we can actually get kill water blind faster.
Achte auf seine Lanze. Damit hat eine hohe Reichweite.
Please? What? What is happening there? Okay. I mean, it's cool with me, man. I couldn't pull my bow for whatever reason. Like, I went in bullet time, but the bow was just not there. But it's good. So one thing about Water Blight's special second phase is he goes up the ceiling. So I guess that's something. So yeah, phase 1 should have been like this one, but it's fine. I'm gonna take this R just for safety. But usually you could do this old run with only 4 hearts, but just because I wanna make sure to not kill this run somehow, I'm just gonna pick that. And this D-pad been giving me trouble every time I want to switch bows and arrows. I'm glad though it didn't kill me yet, because sometimes at the beginning of the game when you're doing fall damage cancel, if you select the axe, sometimes it's gonna just select the rune and you won't be able to unequip like your axe, which most of the time is gonna end up you being dead. So we only have 1 dungeon left and we're not even at the 2-hour mark. Like, technically there's a 5th dungeon in the game that is DLC, but in order to actually do this dungeon, you need to turn in all the main quests for the dungeons, like all 4 of those. But you also require to, you're required basically to do all the extra shrines from the DLC and watching all the extra cutscenes, and it adds up for about 2 hours in the run. So we made a special category for this, special category that does the extra dungeon. Because it's not everyone that is ready to sacrifice 2 more hours just to run the same category. DLC kind of was weird for Breath of the Wild because it was the first Zelda game with DLCs, and we had an idea how to handle them, but at the same time it's so weird for a Zelda game. There was a lot of firsts for this game, for the series as a whole. So I just killed the 2 moblin with furries because it's the most convenient way, and by the time we're gonna be done with the escort mission for Yunobo and actually Rudania, they're gonna be back up for Calamity at the end. So seriously, this part is probably the one that everyone hates, because Yunobo is just a pain. No one likes to do escort mission. No one likes anything that has to do with escort really in games. So if someone can find a skip, please let us know. It would save like 5 minutes. 5 minutes of our lives. Alright, so now Rudania is mad because reasons. Must have stepped in the lava or something, but it's just gonna deploy sentries around the volcano, Death Mountain. And we have to not get spotted by those sentries, because otherwise Rudania gets even mad, like even more mad, and there's boulders falling off the sky because the volcano gets active every time Rudania gets mad, I guess. Alright, so earlier I introduced you guys to Whistle Sprint, where you just have to whistle and actually refill your stamina, but you can also do it that way. It's a little bit less consistent, but in this segment you cannot really use Whistle Sprint because Unobo is gonna stop running, it's gonna start again, and you know, it's slow if he stops running. So we kind of have to do that in order to get fast in some places. I feel I can get this neat trick. It doesn't lose much time, but yeah, you can kill that sentry like that. Which makes you skip like climbing this mountain and actually drop a boulder from higher on it. So we have to shoot Unobo 3 times on Rudania, and this is kind of why this segment is pretty long. It's just because Unobo is just so slow overall, and it's a lot of movement around Death Mountain. And sometimes he just stops following you, so it's important to keep track of him on the minimap. Thank you. So we can use those metal blocks to actually kill sentries too. And I need this block to actually kill more stuff. Should work. And one thing people that use motion controls can actually do with this game is kill moblin fast. If you don't have motion control, it's actually harder because you don't have as much momentum with the swing. But yeah, it's a slight advantage that people that use motion controls can have. It's just pulling like if there's a chest in the ground and you have to like unbury it, you can just flick your controller as soon as you magnetize it, and it's gonna pop right up. It's perfect. Also, speaking of my, did I lose my cube? I think I did. Wow. I don't know where it went. Dang. Okay, it's fine. I'd have used it anyway to kill those sentries, I guess, but I can wait. I won't risk it to get. You could get Unable past this, but I'm kind of afraid to risk it. So we'll just do it like the casual way, I guess. So we're just gonna wait for an extra cycle here, and hopefully Unable doesn't get caught. Here, when you fly, if you go too high, Unable actually goes back all the way back, like before the first century. So it's important to actually come back, to actually not go too high, because otherwise you lose Unable and you risk more. Well, it's gonna try to actually follow you from the place where it respawned, and it's gonna get caught by a sentry, essentially. Alright, nice. Those guys sometimes get in trouble. But yeah, this segment went pretty fine overall, I would say. Except like that one lost metal cube. I have no idea where it went. I must have just throw it with the momentum. But yeah, if anyone find a skip for that, please send it to me. That'd be great. So last dungeon we have to do Rudania. It's probably one of the most fun to actually learn and actually do in a run, just because there's a few tricks here and there that are like pretty nice.
Lange nicht, ich habe es sicher. Dann muss
So like the two other dungeons, like
das ist der Land.
we have to go get the map. Oh, okay, I have a low arrow count, so we're gonna be extra careful. Nice. Dude, nice. Okay. So here... Okay. I used the bomb to see where I would aim, but also I used the bomb to break a plank wood, so I can open those doors. Ah, cool. Those doors are weird, man. Nice. I'm gonna have to get more arrows, I think. We'll see. Oh, thankfully there's like 2 pack of 5 arrows in this dungeon, and 5 ice arrows too, just in case I need those. So I already got 1 terminal, so the map only shows 4. And one thing about getting 1 terminal before even getting the map is actually it skips 1 text box,
Ich verlasse.
where it tells you how many terminal you have to get. Which is pretty nice that they actually thought of that. So hopefully I'm gonna get this shot. But basically if you put a blue flame on your bow and shoot right there, the blue flame carries on the torch up there, and yeah, we don't even need to go all the way up there.
Es sind noch 3.
Nice, okay. I don't really need more arrows anyway, besides for the boss. I'm like halfway through. Nice, dude. And it's gonna... I don't know what it's gonna do to Link. Okay. But yeah, if you crouch in this tight space, you can actually go through.
Noch zwei Kunden.
I think it was actually time faster to actually open the door with like an arrow and everything. But we decided to all do that because it just looks fun. It's like one of the few tricks right in this game that are like different.
Noch ein Kontroll.
Also, I'm gonna Thank you. And we use one gal here.
Sauber. Siehst du auf deinem Coverblatt?
So, Fire Blight. One thing about this fight is you cannot use bomb arrows at all because they're gonna explode on you. So with a like small jump there, you can actually go in bullet time and yeah, sure. Miss a couple of arrows there. But yeah, if you use bomb arrows anywhere near where you can actually take heat damage, well, burning damage, let's say, because heat damage is more like Gyarados stuff. The bomb arrow will actually explode on your face, and you're most likely gonna die. I don't even know where he's going. Where?
Ich beschütze dich.
So yeah, this is where we use Mipha's Grace. So we can just ignore completely this fight. And now we're on our way to Calamity Ganon. We, like, technically, for the rules of this category, or any other category that do the dungeons, castle actually counts, quote-unquote, as a dungeon because it has a 3D map. But you can just skip anything. There's no terminals or anything, so it's just really hard. But the 3D map helps anyway. So yeah, now we have Zelda that just tells you that now that you've defeated all the diving beasts and free all the spirits, you can now go defeat Calamity. Also in German, the diving beasts are called Titans, which is probably a much cooler name, in my opinion. So yeah, that was all for original dungeons. This is the last load, by the way. We are free of those. So again, we use the same tree because it's just good. One thing I think I didn't mention, but the jumps for those launchers is actually precise. There's like, when you status an object, there's like 4 beeps and then 8 that are slightly faster and then 8 that are fast, and you gotta jump at like the 7th fastest of the beeps, and it's really just a thing. Oh yeah, with launches, stuff doesn't load sometimes, so we gotta wait for the waterfalls to load. Otherwise, you just don't get the prompt to actually go up the waterfall. But it's faster than walking all the way there, doing the launch, so it's not like we're losing time, really. It's just something that the game needs to understand. That's like we're already at the waterfall. So we're gonna use our last gale here. Hopefully Urbosa's Furies are gonna be back up before the fight. It's good. So now Calamity gets mad, and all the diving beats shoots the lasers to Calamity. So now Calamity is just only have like half of his health, which is like 4,000 HP. If you saw like an any percent run before, you would think that this fight is actually like the easy mode of it.
Rosas Zorn ist bereit, entfesselt zu werden.
Can I have arrows? No, can I have bows? Alright, okay, I missed a couple of headshots on the phase 1, but we good. He went on the wall, wow. Okay, that's a thing that can happen sometimes, but usually he doesn't go on the wall like right away. So I can hit him twice and then start what we call a stun lock. Okay, he didn't go down, but now he's down. Okay. He's dead anyway. We good. This fight is pretty easy when you have all the abilities. So yeah, now we only have to do target practice, basically.
Ganons Hass umgibt ihn wie ein Panzer. In diesem Zustand dringt kein Angriff zu ihm durch.
I'm just cutting down trees for fun. There's like not much to do right now. It's all scripted. It's like an interactive cutscene basically at this point.
Link, ich wünsche dir Glück. Jetzt! Ganon wird immer schwächer.
Nice. Boom. Just because I can. The music is good for this fight, but the fight is... it's kind of meh.
Du musst auf die leuchtenden Stellen zielen.
Time is gonna be at when the eye explode on Calamity. It should be like in 2 shots. I got one more circle and then I can actually finish this run.
Nur noch ein bisschen. Dann haben wir ihn.
So usually most runners will actually kill the horse here because we do not like horses at all. But since I don't have any gals up, and never mind. But since I saw earlier that the pull was to save the animals, I won't kill the horse.
Das ist links.
And time. That was Breath of the Wild, all dungeon. I hope you guys really like the run. It's a fun game to speedrun, and yeah, I mean, if you wanna know more about it, just hit me up or something, or join the Discord for it. It's really amazing. Thank you.